SETAC North America was kind of tasked with looking at normalization and weighting in impact assessment. And we were thinking about that and thinking, okay, well, what are normalization and weighting? What are we trying to do with those? And we're trying to make decisions with them. And so we kind of said, okay, well, what can we accomplish quickly? Well, we didn't think we could accomplish solving any problems. But what we did think we could accomplish was to identify those problems and identify when we thought we wanted them to be done. So I kind of went back to my 20 years in the semiconductor industry and said, why don't we do a roadmap? A roadmap's a plan that matches us, our short-term and our long-term goals, with specific technology solutions. But even more so, it's saying, what's missing? What do we need to get there? Some of you heard this morning, 15 years ago, I started in LCA, and we had problems with characterization factors for metals. We still have problems with characterization factors for metals. We had problems where we had no uncertainty on our methods. We still have that problem. We had no ability to implement uncertainty in methods in our tools. We still have that problem. So we need a way to identify these solutions so that all of you guys and us as suppliers to the industry are all on the same wavelength. And we can all start working toward these solutions together, and maybe we'll get somewhere. The semiconductor industry uses this to accomplish Moore's Law. Moore's Law says we double our transistor count every 2 years. How do we do that? It's not easy. And in fact, if you look at their roadmap, 4 years out, they haven't got a clue how they're going to do it. It's not easy. They have to figure this stuff out. So what they do is they say to the whole world, in 4 years, we need to be here. Go get us there. And it happens. Because everybody's working together. So, let's now apply this to LCA. And so we got a group of people together at SETAC North America to focus on particularly decision support, and interpretation. And so we all got together and we all got to choose 3 major problems that we thought we had with LCA. We threw them in a bucket, tried to sort them out into 3 different groups, and then the 3 different groups went away and came up with these 4 different subtopics. The subtopic that I got is the red one, sorry. How do we interpret LCA results to inform decision makers? So since November, I've had this great group of people. They're all really engaged, working hard on it, and we've actually made some progress. We have trade-offs across impact categories. How do we deal with that? How do we help decision makers make good decisions when product A is better in greenhouse gas emissions and product B is better in eutrophication? How do we help them? What about this significant uncertainty? How do we deal with that? But we came with this also from the perspective that LCA is a really useful model. So how do we take these challenges, address those weaknesses, and come out with something that's really useful? So our group meets once a month. We have a goal of finishing our draft by SETAC in November. This whole red discussion is kind of vague. We wanted to put a little bit of information around it. So data gaps, our preferences, our weighting factors, normalization values, uncertainty data, impact assessment, anything where we don't have enough data yet, where we don't have methods to establish those normalization factors, to establish weighting factors, maybe to communicate results, those kinds of things. So what we're talking about right now in our meetings is getting to a performance measure of confidence in the difference between impacts. So if product A is better by 10% than product B in human health, does that mean anything? We're looking at how do you select impact categories, normalization, and then broadening out the question of weighting into multi-criteria decision analysis. And when we get to the point where we're ready to do it with LCA, can we bring in social and economic metrics into the same discussion? And then, of course, our data presentation. we're looking at a lot of decision trees as part of our goals, and this one is kind of for that metric that says, yeah, we've gotten to the point where we can make a decision, or no, we can't. We've kind of looked through different multi-criteria decision analysis techniques, and for these few, we looked at some pros and cons. And then we're looking at these milestones. We've got this separated out. It's a little different than the semiconductor one, where we've got our short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And the yellow ones, we've got some ideas how to do it. We just have to optimize them, or pick between 3 different ways that seem pretty good. The orange ones, well, maybe somebody's, maybe somebody heard something at this conference that students are doing that sounded really good, and maybe that'll work, but we're not sure. And then the red, we haven't got a clue. We've got a lot of work to do yet. We've kind of divided some of this into the time frames based on how easy they are to do. So, for example, we've got some communication with stakeholders. We start off with maybe LCA practitioners, because maybe LCA practitioners, it's easier to create something that we all can understand. Then we go to engineers. Oh, they're a little harder. And then we maybe go to executives or policymakers. They're a little harder. And then maybe we go to communicating with the general public. We find out that the best way to communicate with a decision maker is actually also the best way to communicate with an LCA practitioner. And if that's the case, perfect. We have a way for maybe 3 or 4 different groups of people. But maybe not. And we don't, with the roadmap, want to kind of drive people down one path. We want to drive people to good decisions.